Hi campers, and welcome to my channel, which is the Memoirs of an M.E Goddess. My name's Bernice. I started this channel, I started on Facebook really with cartoons, excuse me, with cartoons and things, because I found it easier to express myself without being actually personally visible. And as time went on, I felt more comfortable with telling my story in person. For those that are new to the channel, thanks for popping in. I have severe Myalgia Encephalomyelitis, which has today you find me on a good day. I'm able to sit up, more or less-ish, but it's better than it has been recently. 6 years ago, I had a whooping cough vaccination because we were preparing for the birth of our son, who was being carried by our friend. And there was a whooping cough epidemic up here in Wellington, and so we wanted to provide him with herd immunity. I have had chronic fatigue syndrome since 1997, but in a very, very mild case of some brain fog, some memory loss, and the fatigue, obviously. And I thought it was pretty bad then, but I've just since discovered things can always get worse. So I had been in remission for some years, to the point that I'd completely forgotten about the fact that I shouldn't have had that immunisation. Such, I have a very high viral load on my body already, and this triggered a relapse. For the first 3 years I kind of struggled through, but 3 years ago I became bedbound and have to use an electric chair. There was a time when I would still be able to get out to go to the shops, go wash, just go outside and do stuff with somebody else driving, because I couldn't lift my chair by myself. So, but now for some time now, please excuse my voice, for some time now I have been completely housebound and bedbound, and most of my doctor's visits are done through my husband, who goes on my behalf, and the doctor calls me. There's something really, really important that I would like to talk about, and it is a trigger conversation, so just please be aware. I don't want to cause anyone any difficulty. I want to talk about suicide. It's a toss-up, I think, between suicide and heart failure as to what the greatest killers are of people with myalgia encephalomyelitis, because the level of depletion becomes so extreme, and there's no treatment and there's no cure. I very recently had a very difficult time emotionally, where I was just finding this disease too hard, too grinding. I have everything to live for. I've got 4 beautiful children, I've got a great husband. We're making our way with what we have, because he's my full-time carer now, and we live on a benefit. One of the positives of living on a benefit is that it teaches you what's really important and what really matters, and that all that extra stuff we fill our lives up with isn't really, that's not really the important stuff after all. So I have had, I try to be fairly realistic with my videos and fairly open with how things are, but I have come as close as I have ever been to that line in the sand. You know, I have had a lot of time to decide what my line in the sand is. Been stuck in bed 24/7 for 3 years. You get a lot of time to think. And I just, the things that, I think the thing that makes this difficult for people to understand, whether you're chronically ill or severely depressed or invisibly ill, you have pain disorder, arthritis, there's 1,000 million names for any reason why you could be reaching your line in the sand. And it's difficult if someone hasn't been there. They say, but you've got so much to live for. How could you be so selfish to think about leaving your children? Well, here's why. My children, I don't get to take them on holiday. They don't get to go and do things with mummy. I don't get to take them shopping for their shoes. They do that with daddy. I know that I matter to them, and I know that I have still so much to give them, but just sometimes a kiss at night, good night mummy, is all that they require from me. And there's still another 23 hours and 50 minutes left of the day for me to go before I get my good night mummy again. Obviously we try and do things like we have play dates in my bedroom where if I'm not too light sensitive and not too sound sensitive, we can watch a movie together. So I do not want to leave my beautiful children. I certainly do not want to leave my wonderful husband, but I do want them to have the chance of a normal life. I want them to be able to pack up in a week and go camping, and I want them to be able to do all, all the things that a normal 10-year-old and a normal nearly 6-year-old get to do. Now my husband's amazing. He's the best soccer mum ever. He's got it covered, and he keeps telling me that their lives would be so much worse without me in it. And I believe him, and I think about that often. But at some point I'm gonna go, whether it's a heart attack, a stroke, an aneurysm, or suicide. And I want to use euthanasia now instead of suicide, because I don't want to die, but I do want my family to live. So anyway, sometimes the things that anchor us to our lives and to this world they recede back, and we can't always grab hold of them. Sometimes we're just left standing naked, trying to work it all out. That's what happened with me not so long ago. I've lost so excuse me, I'm not crying, I've got a throat problem. I've lost so many friends to suicide, and we have not had the opportunity to have this debate about euthanasia or assisted dying. And I do have an exit strategy. I've had to. because if this disease continues its deterioration, the light sensitivity, sound sensitivity, the sensitivity of my skin, I'm having trouble swallowing. So, tube feeding is probably going to be down the road sometime, which is fine, absolutely fine. There's I'm not worried about that. But there's times when I've thought, this isn't living. This is just not dying. And there's so many times. Now I'm super lucky, and I want to acknowledge that. I'm super lucky because I have someone who gets it. And there are so many amazing people out there suffering who don't have family or friends or that one anchor of people who get it, and I think if I was in that situation, I really don't know what I would do. There's some really good support groups out there, and we all go through these times when we just have to let it all out. So I just want to say to those people who say, yeah, well, you've got kids and you've got a husband and you've got this and you've got that. I know, and I appreciate it every minute of every day. But some days when the pain, it feels like the pain, to try and explain the pain, it feels like I've been through a rugby game the night before, and the stiffness and the pain, and then there's the dysfunction. I'm filming today because today is one of the few days I can access my words. I come up with some shit sometimes trying to work out, it's like we have our own family language, because I can't remember the word. What I can tell you is what the word isn't. If I'm trying to remember someone, it's like, it's not so-and-so. So the family knows it's someone connected to so-and-so, and so we go through this pantomime and it happens. But that's not what I'm talking about today. Today I'm talking about euthanasia, assisted suicide. No, assisted dying. But by law, we are compelled to call it suicide. So I came as close to that exit strategy as I have ever been. I mean, people think they get close to it, but then when you really get close to it, you look back and you go, okay, yeah, I'm actually really close to that right now. But I'm still here, and I wanted to share how I got here. Like I said, I have an exit strategy. I have a line in the sand as to how far and how trapped I'm prepared to be. I've gone from the whole world to Wellington, to my town, to my home, and now to my bed. I can't leave my bed. Only time I can leave my bed is to get into my electric wheelchair to go to the toilet and come back. I used to be an artist. I used to be a jeweler and a sculptor. I was a writer. I was a musician. These things require hands that work and the energy to do them. We found some workarounds. I've had to grieve. I've had to let that stuff go. And I've had to accept I think when you know your life is limited, it helps sieve out the shit. It helps to sieve out the stuff that doesn't really matter. And the people who don't really matter. After I was diagnosed, I come from a really big family, and I'm really sad to say this, but after I was diagnosed, which took years, it broke me. The medical prejudice, it just broke me. I was a broken woman, and I had reached that point where I think it was probably the other time I got closest, because nobody believed me. I come from a really big family, and I thought, right, well, I'll write to them all. I'll do a video. I'll explain to them what's going on. I'll show them the research to prove it. There's like 40 people in my family, and I had the resounding boom of silence from everyone. Now, I know people have things going on in their lives, but they just thought, oh, that's just Bernice being a drama queen again. Over the years, because I have relentlessly continued to document my journey, I don't share it with them. In fact, I doubt anyone in my family even watches these videos. My oldest sister came to visit me, and she saw me have a seizure in the middle of the warehouse in Noha. And we had a moment where she said that she was so sorry for the vacuum for being part of that vacuum of support, that vacuum of love, for not believing me. So you all out there who have gone through this, I am your kindred, because I know how dangerous it is to be left in that void where you're not heard, not by your doctor, not by the hospital, not by the specialists, not by your friends, and not by your family. I've got some great friends who, that's what I mean, this disease sifts out. And I also realise that sometimes big important things like this are just too painful for people who love us. And that's part of the void, is that they might not believe you, or they can't process the pain, and they can't process the inconvenience of a chronic disease. So I know I have some beautiful friends who have been there with me right from the start. I have got my husband who found redundancy to be home looking after me, a blessing. But sometimes my resilience slips, and my wish for them to be able to go to Splash Planet, or to go on a holiday, or to go and do something, because I can't be left alone at home. In case I fall out of my chair, or I fall off the toilet, or I have a seizure, or a dystonic storm, or I can't get my own food, I can't get my own drink, just that shit. So I have an issue with this word suicide when it comes to people like us. And I've even looked at this place called Dignitas, where you can euthanize. It's in Switzerland, and we'd never get there. And like I said, I got as close to wanting to leave as probably I ever have been. How did I get through that? Well, it's pretty simple, really. I'll write it down, see if you can read it. I'm just writing it down. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. It probably reads backwards. It says, "Not today. I don't have to make that decision today," because I was feeling this in the evening. Not today. I'm going to go to sleep now. I've put that in a safe place. And I said, no, I'm not going to think about it, because it's impossible when you've had enough of this mortal coil. I needed something to hang on to, just in case I was wrong. And so I wrote down, not today. I can make this. I can make this decision tomorrow. And I stuck my note up, and I thought, do I want to make that decision today? Or do I want to make that decision in the next 5 minutes? Actually, it's what it came down to. I was a mess. And so I said, I don't want to make that decision in this next 10 minutes. So I could relax for 10 minutes, because I didn't have to think about it. And then I looked at it again. I thought, do I want to make that decision now? It's like, no, I don't want to make that decision now. And every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I got to that night, and I hadn't made the decision. And I did that for 3 days. And that kept me alive. Because there is so much pain in this. My brain still functions, more or less, apart from the fog and everything else that goes with it. There are parts of my body that get paralysed. Can't use them. And then it changes. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that I hear you. If you are in this place where you just want to go, and if the anchors that you imagine would be enough, whether it's husband, children, job, boyfriend, girlfriend, pet, desire to do something, unfinished business, whatever it is, when that anchor slips its mooring and there's just you and the desperate need for peace, just say to yourself, not right now. 5 minutes, and I'll decide. 5 minutes comes along. I'm not ready to decide yet. 10 minutes. It's as exhausting as, I want to say a rude word here, but I won't. It is the most exhausting thing you can do with no spoons, is to say, do I want to do that right now? Not yet. So I'm making this video, and I know it's a long one, but I think it's important. And it's not about suicide. It's about euthanasia within the forms of which we are forced to exist without any proper guidelines. We're navigating without the stars in this. So I wanted to have this conversation, and if you're in that place, 5 minutes. If you have an exit strategy, 5 minutes. I have an exit strategy. I know exactly what my future holds, but not when. Not when. Not today. And I remember waking up one morning, a friend asked me, how are you doing? I can be quite frank with her, and I said, well, today I woke up and I didn't want to die. And I knew at that moment that I had got through this particular period of suffering. So, if you need someone to tell you not today, or is break it easy, break it down, not in this 5 minutes, decide in the next 5 minutes. And if you're not ready to make that decision then, decide in 15 minutes. Because I swear to you, that's why I'm here now. So, serious stuff, big stuff, painful stuff, and it's all part of our journey. I know euthanasia and assisted dying are very, very hot topics, and I don't want to debate. I don't want to debate that. I'm really speaking from myself. I don't want to debate. I'm speaking to the people who find themselves in the same situation as me. If you absolutely do not believe in euthanasia or assisted dying or suicide or anything of those things, that's awesome, because you've got that to hang on to. And if you don't have that to hang on to, there are other things you can do. 5 minutes at a time, until you can wake up one day and say, I don't want to die today. That's a big one. Anyway, I just need a drink. I have to use a sippy cup because I spill. I'm such a mucky pup. Okay, my fellow warriors, my spoonies, my fellow gods and goddesses, may today be peaceful and as pain-free as possible. And if you need someone, like I say, to say 5 minutes, message me. I get it. So I'll say goodbye now. Love to you all.